Good day, dear colleagues. Welcome to the Salesforce United Tech Talk, scaling up your Salesforce career on Industry Cloud. Today, we have an amazing speaker, Taranvir Singh, a Salesforce and Velocity certified consultant with extensive experience in Salesforce industries. So, after this tech talk, you will learn industry cloud solutions, and this will open up new horizons for sure. As always, this tech talk will be recorded, and feel free to leave all your questions in the chat down below. And I'm passing my word to Taranvir.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you can all see me now. So, today's session is specifically for people within the Salesforce ecosystem and people who want to learn what an industry cloud is and what that specification and specialization really means. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Please let me know. Okay. So, a very warm welcome once again. The session today is going to be about scaling up your Salesforce career on the industry cloud. Before we get started, a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm a lead software engineer with the Salesforce practice in India for EPAM. I've been doing multiple projects on Salesforce and Velocity, which is now called Salesforce Industries, from the past 5+ years. Having worked on industry problems for clients in telecom, media, insurance, and energies and utilities. And I'm 11x certified specialist in Velocity. I have some certifications which are now not here. But yeah, good to be here and looking forward to this session. I am quickly going to jump into today's agenda and what we are going to be covering. So, first of all, I'll be covering what these industry clouds or what Salesforce industry clouds really are. How do I look at it as an opportunity for everybody to specialize? As we all know that Salesforce is becoming specialized day on day, and this opens a lot of horizons and avenues for people who want to be aligned to a specific industry cloud or be a master in one industry cloud. This industry alignment is a boon or bane. I know a lot of you might have questions around, what could specialization mean for me? Is this something that I should be doing at this point in my career? Would this help me getting more projects? All those questions. And then finally, I'll be covering a last section, which is how should somebody who wants to learn Salesforce industries get started? It could be, getting more knowledge on Salesforce industry cloud. How is it different from learning Salesforce? What are the resources available, and are there any project opportunities available or not? So that's a brief about today's session. I will quickly jump into our first section, which is what are Salesforce industry clouds. Before I do, I want to jump into a history a little bit. So Velocity was a product organization back in started back in 2014 by a group of people who were specialized in telco and CRM. A lot of them were from a Siebel background, so they started building this complete solution on top of Salesforce, and that's where the whole concept of verticalized solutions came into picture, right? So Salesforce industry clouds are primarily pinpointed verticalized solutions that have been built on top of Salesforce. It started off as a managed package, and it was specially built for telco, but it slowly scaled up into industries like media, energy, utilities, insurance, health, etc., etc. Now, the key use of industry clouds are they accelerate time to market for enterprises who are planning a digital transformation. How that happens is the product or Salesforce industry cloud inherently has an industry specific data model, low code or no code tools for declarative development. So it reduces the maintenance overhead, custom development cost, and accelerates the time to market for any organization. And then third is industry specific business processes. There are about 700 plus business processes which have been built into Salesforce Industry Cloud, and customers are making extreme use of and utilization of those processes these days. Now, One question would be what kind of industries are covered. So as I was talking to you about, right, it started off with telco, but it has slowly scaled up to more than 12 industries now. Some of them are highly utilized and have a very high demand in the market, while some of them are still developing and are still new in the market, right? So automotive cloud, I'm going to quickly cover them all, probably not going into depth, but I'm going to just cover them all really quickly. So you have automotive, communication, consumer goods, energy utilities, government, health, education, manufacturing, media, non-profit, net zero cloud, and financial services. Some of them are fairly very high adoption in the market. For example, communication is one, health is one, media, financial services, energy utilities, government. I think these five or six industry clouds are very high in demand in the market, and a lot of enterprises are now asking for specific talent to implement these industry clouds. So if you see that, I mean, people who are from a Salesforce background and have worked in this ecosystem from some time might be able to look at some of the buzzwords and be able to relate to it, right? Moving on to my next slide, which is the industry cloud professional skill framework. So as we all know, to learn Salesforce, there is a specific type of journey that you have to undertake. You need to understand what the platform is, how that is different from any other cloud or on-premise, CRM tool, right? Similarly, for learning industry cloud, there is a specific skill framework that we've tried to curate for you, and it's a three pillar framework, where first on the top is what you see is called domain, and then second is Omni Studio, and then Salesforce at the last, right? So there is no sequence to it, but I want to get started with the top, which is the domain knowledge. Now, while some of the experts in the industry would agree that domain knowledge is not extremely important, I have a different view here, and I feel that domain knowledge can actually expedite your learning process in Salesforce industries. Now, you need to have a brief knowledge of what the key regulations in a specific industry are, what are the key business processes, and then finally what industry standards and user personas exist in that industry. Now, this is a lot, and it might sound overwhelming, but if you have a brief knowledge or an overview about an industry, it'll be very helpful for you when you start your learning journey on Salesforce industries, because there are a lot of processes, objects and fields that you will be able to relate to, right? The second one is Omni Studio. This is a buzzword in the industry now, and I think a lot of people are able to relate to Omni Studio now because it's slowly moving into the Salesforce core platform. Now, this was earlier called digital interaction. It was a suite of tools which were declarative, which were no code, and allowed developers in Velocity to build up guided processes, server side processes, intuitive UI cards, and then place them in Salesforce UI. And now it's been rebranded with the acquisition of Velocity by Salesforce as a layer called Omni Studio. Four components to it. First one is Omni scripts, which are a counterpart of, or basically an alternate to Salesforce flows, with a lot more capability. Now, people who've come from a Salesforce background might know that, we are now able to do HTTP callouts and flows. And that's one of the capabilities that Omni scripts have and integration procedures have from the past, 4 years, 5 years, right? So a lot of functionality from Omni Studio is now being inculcated into Salesforce core platform also. Data Raptors are ETL tools which are offered within the same Omni Studio layer. Flex cards are card-based UI, uh, you know, y- basically card-based UIs that you can drop, on a flex, on a app page, on a record page. You can use them in your guided processes. Very easy to design and very quick to build, right? Integration procedures are basically server-side tools that you can use to build processes, looping mechanisms, integration with external systems. So that's a lot of capability built in just one single layer. And I would strongly recommend that anybody who wants to technically start their journey in industries, this would be your first step, right? You need to pick up, exercises, start doing those exercises on Omni Studio, because Omni Studio is the single component which is common across all industry clouds. So learning that will be really, really helpful. And then there is a third layer, which is Salesforce platform knowledge. Uh, if you have to start your journey on Salesforce Industries, it's an absolute mandate to be Salesforce literate, which means that you should have a good knowledge about what the admin tools are, what kind of, now if for people who don't want to really progress as an architect, in their career and want to be limited to techno functional roles, I think for them it's important to have a basic admin knowledge of Salesforce, know what the key capabilities are, because in the end the whole industry cloud is built on top of Salesforce. And then capabilities of vanilla clouds, which is sales and service cloud. It's very less likely that you will see an industry cloud implementation without sales and service cloud. Now, while I say that with a lot of conviction, that's been my experience. And I know that sales and service cloud are used in tandem with industry cloud most of the times. So it would be really good that you not just have admin knowledge, but also basic flows about what is how are leads getting created, what is opportunity management, all those things, right? So just to sum it up, for anybody who wants to come into industry cloud and wants to start their journey, this is a three-step framework that you can follow. Get some domain knowledge. It does not mean that you have to dive deep into processes, but just a basic understanding of how things really work. Then the second one is getting your exposure and hands-on experience on Omni Studio. And the third one is being platform literate about Salesforce and having that basic knowledge, right? Moving on to the next slide, very, very interesting for people who have joined us. I know a lot of you are from a Salesforce CPQ background and would want to know what's in store for you, right? I've covered another persona in the following slides, but let's start with this, right? So, being a Salesforce CPQ professional, what could be in store for you? And one of the questions that I guess get asked a lot is what can I really learn when in industries, right? I'm from a Salesforce CPQ background. I've already created a niche. Is there something that I can pick up? And I have an answer for you, which is industry CPQ. So in the image that you see on your screen right now, there is a brief comparison between Salesforce industry CPQ and Salesforce CPQ. And apart from the comparison, if you see that there are a lot of core functionalities which are similar across both platforms. Now, the way these things are done or these functionalities are, kind of translated technically might vary, but the functional processes and the way things are in the background remain same. Configuration, pricing of a quote, creating, contracts, orders, collection of bills, all those things kind of are similar in both the platforms, but very, very differently done, right? Salesforce Industries, where you can see industry CPQ being used, are energy utilities, communication, and media. These are the only three industry clouds which are having industry CPQ functionality as of now. So, anybody who's from a Salesforce CPQ background, your industry cloud of interest would be energy utilities, communication, and media. And you can start picking up a lot of modules are there in industry CPQ. One is product modeling, one could be configuration of a lead to order journey or a quote to cash journey. Then there is order management, which is a different module, but of course very, very closely linked on how you do fulfillment. So that's how you can probably step up your career in Salesforce industries for people who are already from a Salesforce CPQ background. A little bit of history which I wanted to also give you is that Velocity CPQ got converted into Industry CPQ now. Digital interaction framework that I was talking to you earlier about is now rebranded and called as a Omni Studio layer. Steelbrick CPQ, I think you already know, is Salesforce CPQ. Transferable skills, knowledge of these processes, which you already have in Salesforce CPQ implementations, can be completely, used when you start doing Salesforce Industries implementation. Knowledge about products, knowledge about pricing, can be reused. How you really bundle products, what are the offerings? What kind of offerings would look like for these industries? Configuration of a cart, configuration of a quote or order is something that you do in both. And then renewals, in life scenarios, order management, billing is something that you can completely reuse, right? I mean, not saying that the way these things are done in industries and CPQ are same, but the functional side of things remains same, and you can always utilize that knowledge. If you have any questions, I'm sorry, but I forgot to ask you. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them, in the chat or in the comment section, and we will be answering them at a point later on. So we've covered transferable skills, but what are the skills that you will have to learn in order to step up into Salesforce Industries and learn industry CPQ? So EPC, which is the Enterprise Product Console, is now rebranded into something called SFI Product Designer. It's a new functionality built very intuitively on top of Flex cards. So you can start understanding how products are modeled. This not only includes products. I might say that because it's a base umbrella layer, but you have promotions, you have discounts, you have context rules, what kind of business rules you can configure, so that you are only showing a selective list of products to any customer, be it an individual or a business, right? Out of the box cart operations, because a lot of things in industry CPQ are done using cart APIs. Uh, so it might be beneficial if you start understanding how to create an order using a cart API. Then you have guided selling and order capture. You have advanced and context rules, which means you can upsell, cross sell products to customers. You can control what product gets shown to which customer, right? You can control recommendations, uh, auto additions, deletions, etc. Then one very strong capability of Salesforce Industries is contract lifecycle management. So Salesforce Industries get kind of picked up a very strong functionality from Velocity, which was contract lifecycle management. It allows you to generate PDF documents or Word documents on platform, and this is very close to an enterprise level document generation system. So it's getting matured day on day, and a lot of capability has been built into this, which means that you can use templates and pick up data from Salesforce or external systems, push into those templates and generate instances of those templates or documents on the platform. So that's a very strong capability that the product has, and it would be really good if you can learn this. It remains common across all industry clouds, so learning this would enable you to be a master at something, right, irrespective of the industry cloud you choose. Product and catalog management, CPQ services I spoke to you about, and DC APIs. So a lot of projects in Salesforce Industries have a requirement where the enterprise would want to sell products not just from an agent experience point of view, but also using an e-shop or a web model, right? And that's where DC APIs come into the picture. So you create products once in a shared catalog in Salesforce, and then you can utilize those products for ordering, both from Salesforce environment or from a external community or from a web API using or from a web UI using DC APIs, right? So that's the kind of features we are talking about. And then what do you really need to start from in order to enable yourself to step up from Salesforce CPQ to industry CPQ? So first of all, because this functionality was initially built for communication, one of the good starting points could be Communication Cloud Product Modeling. This is a PLC course, so you can basically design products on Communication Cloud. Then you can pick up industry CPQ foundations. Contract lifecycle management has a course on PLC, and design and build a working industry CPQ solution. So the last one is something that I'll very strongly recommend because it gives you an end-to-end flow of building an industry CPQ solution. So even though you're not on a project, This could be a mini exercise or a mini project for you to design a complete end to end flow of modeling a product externally and then bringing that model into Salesforce industries, pricing it, creating promotions, creating rules, everything around it. And then finally being able to see how that looks in the cart, right? Two very important parts here are, apart from the PLC courses, two certifications, or basically credentials that you can target if you want to learn this and translate this into a credential or a certification for yourself. The first one is Salesforce Industry CPQ Developer. This is a core Salesforce certification now, so you can start from the curriculum of this certification in partner learning camp, and you should be able to kind of complete that. And then the second one is Salesforce Com Cloud, Media Cloud, or ENU Cloud accredited professional. So you will get a lot of this knowledge in either of these APs also. So this is also something that you can pick up. Move on to the next slide. One of the questions which a lot of you might have, because we have a mixed audience today, and we know we have Salesforce architects, team lead developers, on the call. Should I really learn Salesforce Industries Cloud, and what value would it add? So I'm going to go point by point, and I think this is of a lot of importance for everybody here on the call. But prospect customers or enterprises in the market have started asking for niche industry cloud talent. A lot of you might agree that there are requirements coming in where customers come and they ask for financial services cloud implementation, uh, support, or maybe in energy and utilities cloud implementation support. And that's where it becomes extremely important that apart from what you already know on Salesforce and your architecture skills, you have alignment with a specific industry cloud and you have those certifications with you, because it does give you a lot of credibility in the market. The second one is architects have a lot of responsibility to do pre-sales, POCs, productized solutions for practices, and this is where rapid prototyping becomes a very crucial requirement. And Omni Studio and an industry cloud combination enables architects to be able to rapidly prototype. This reduces the turnaround time, for you to be able to do POCs, get back to customers with a working solution, and that's exactly why this becomes extremely important, right? So let's say if a customer comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to build up a form, for my brokers." Now, the first thing that would come to my mind as a velocity or SFI professional, I would probably be able to do this in probably some hours using Omni scripts, right? And that's exactly the kind of power and feature rich this whole product is. The third one is credentials to your Salesforce profile. While it's important that you know Salesforce and you have a very strong grasp on the basics, having a specific industry cloud or a specific industry's certification gives you a lot of credibility, right? If you're already, for example, if people on the call have worked on communication cloud from a long time and are now working in Salesforce, so I've seen that there is a lot of transferability in terms of skills, right? So somebody who's not even worked on Salesforce but has worked on BSS and OSS systems, if if starts preparing and starts understanding the Salesforce communication cloud and has a certification, that resource or that person can become highly valuable in the Salesforce ecosystem. And I've seen examples like that. And then last but not the least is knowledge of enterprise level verticalized solutions. So when you jump into this whole arena of industry cloud solutions, you are not just playing with one product, which is a Salesforce Industry Cloud. You're also helping customers decide between competitors, right? So you gain a strong knowledge of business processes because you are implementing things. You're not just building a pointed solution, you're implementing a whole journey, a customer journey, or a agent journey, or a broker journey. And that's where you start getting knowledge about industry standards, business processes, personas of users, and what kind of activities have to be done. So you get a lot of domain knowledge, but at the same time there is a lot of uh, you know kind of R&D that you have to do between verticalized solutions, probably dynamics, right? And then weigh in what solution is better, what process exists where. So for architects, this is a really good exercise because you just don't have to be limited to one industry cloud or one product. You have to have a sound knowledge of all the products in the arena, right? I mean, you can specialize in one, but it's important that you have at least a good knowledge of the others also. Moving on to the next slide, what kind of resources can you really leverage? So learning SFI or learning Salesforce industries is a little different from learning Salesforce. So there are similarities because you need to start from trailhead and you need to start doing trails. You need to spin up a playground, but there is a lot more to it. You need to start understanding what an industry really is, what kind of pain points exist, what are problems, or what are things that you can solve using automation, using guided processes, all those things. So the starting point remains the same. You start with Trailhead, and I would strongly recommend that people from a functional background, or from a BA profile could take up Omni Studio consultant certification, and people who are technical developers or architects can start from Omni Studio developer. Once you have these two certifications, or once you've got a clear view of what Omni Studio is and you've become hands on with the platform, the next step could be aligning yourself with a specific industry, which means you go to partner learning camp, pick up. I would strongly recommend the three industries, but of course, based on what you've previously done and what aligns with you the best, you pick up an industry cloud, because all these industry clouds are still maturing. A lot of them are new, but the old ones are there from quite some time. And Salesforce is putting a lot of effort on maturing and kind of making these as the only I mean the only possible solution for an industry, right? So you can pick up an industry based on your choice and your history of working, and pick up that credential or that accredited professional curriculum and start completing that. And then the third very important resource is process libraries. So Salesforce Industries, or Velocity, which was earlier, had a concept called process libraries, which are basically templates of processes that have been built in Salesforce Industries, and you can import them and start experimenting with them, start seeing what those journeys really look like. You can collaborate as a team, and kind of start seeing those journeys in the org. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point, and I'll just quickly show you what is the resource for this. Just give me a second. So if you're able to see my screen, this is the Salesforce Industries process library. It's become a GitHub link now, and you can see that for each industry cloud, there is a specific repository. So you can pick up one of your industry clouds of your choice and start going into what are the processes which already have been developed, and directly import them in your org and start seeing. From a credential perspective, as I was talking to you about, you need to go to partner learning camp, filter on an industry product, and these are all credentials for specific industry clouds, and you can start, doing the curriculum for them, right? I am going to go back to my presentation now. Okay. So certifications up for grabs. On the left, what you have are Omni Studio developer, consultant, and industry CPQ developer certifications, which fall under the Salesforce umbrella. Then you have accredited professional exams, which are very specific for each industry. So start picking up those industries and start doing them. And then last but not the least, very important and something that kind of helps you stand out from the crowd are industry certifications. So a lot of you might be able to, correlate with the names which are on the slide. TM Forum certifications are very, very popular. Now, SFI as a product has been a lot of the industry clouds have been built in compliance with industry certifications, right? So TM Forum has certified communication cloud, which means that the processes and the data model which is being used in in SFI communication cloud is in compliance with the industry standard, which is TM Forum. So doing a TM Forum certification, specifically business process framework, ETOM, Open API, can be very, very helpful in helping you to stand out, right? If you're doing a com project. Then there are some geography specific certifications which are for for different domains. So for example, if you're doing a US healthcare project, AHM could be a very helpful certification for you, which is basically American Healthcare Management. And you get a complete overview of what the processes are. And after doing this, you can align yourself with a health cloud accredited professional and you become a combination. And then based on your interest, you can also, so if you're a professional coming from a financial services background where you have knowledge about wealth management, about banking as a business, so you can always kind of do a certification specific to your industry and geography and pair it with an accredited professional exam and be a master of both technical and functional concepts. Moving on to the next slide, I am going to be talking about some myths which exist regarding industries cloud. Now, this is a very interesting piece, and some of you might agree, disagree with me, and that's where we'll open it up for questions. But there have been a lot of questions in the past couple of years I've been asked, and myself being from this background, and I've started my career from industries cloud, I can answer some of these questions for you. Is there an architect path if I work on Salesforce Industries? So, absolutely yes. There are projects where SFI architect has become a dedicated role, and having SFI implementation knowledge, design knowledge is very, very niche. So, if you're somebody who is already doing SFI from past couple of years and wants to progress into and jump into an architect path, there is space and there are roles which are available. So you can always kind of map yourself to those roles. But the important part here is how would you really get onto that path. And that it's a combination of two things. One is you need to have a very, very sound knowledge of the platform, so keeping yourself updated with all the releases, doing multiple POCs every now and then having a good knowledge about the product roadmap, what has to come when, what could be a problem area. Go to the ideas section on Salesforce, see what are problems in existing Omni Studio platform, right? And try to add value there. So join groups which are specific to industry clouds on Salesforce. That's also one very, very important resource where you get a lot of knowledge. There are sessions that you can join, right? So yes, there is a path, and in order to go to that path you need to have a sound knowledge of the product as well as a good domain knowledge. And without these two things, I think being a SFI architect is very, very less likely. So for all the people who are planning to take up this path, I would strongly recommend that you sharpen your skills on the platform as well as get domain knowledge, understand processes in depth, because without that just product knowledge won't really do. The second one is, if I learn Salesforce Industries, will I really become a niche resource? So the answer to this is both yes and no. Uh, when you specialize, you create a niche for yourself. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you can't go back to Salesforce projects or core Salesforce projects, because even with Salesforce Industries, you're not diverging into a different product. You're in the same product. You have to use the same concepts. The whole Omni Studio layer that we talked about is built on top of Salesforce Apex. So and LWC. So everything that you do is linked with Salesforce. You can't unassociate yourself, right? And however, if you are doing a Salesforce Industries project, you can always go back to Salesforce, and you kind of can juggle between both Salesforce and Salesforce Industries. Uh, I think with time and with the way the products of Salesforce Industries are seeing adoption in the market, uh, there will be a time when you have to when you will have to have knowledge of industries cloud. It will not just become optional or a nice to have, but a must have. What's the future for Salesforce Industries? I think we've already talked about it, in the past slides. For Salesforce, it's in one of the Dreamforce or I think TDX conferences, it was said that out of the three growth pillars, industries is one of the pillars for Salesforce. So there is a lot of focus in terms of maturing the industry clouds as well as supporting customers who are on industry cloud. So for if you ask me in terms of future, there is a lot of juice still there for Salesforce Industries. So people who are worried if they learn industries now, what could future look like for them? There is going to be work at least till the near future. If I work as a functional consultant or a BA on a Salesforce implementation project, how can learning SFI help me? As I said, the product is very, very techno functional in nature. So it's not extremely technical because of the declarative low code, no code approach that it offers. So it allows an opportunity for everybody. And the gates are open for not just technical folks, for functional folks also, because they bring in a lot of value in terms of understanding the domain, and they can quickly upskill, on Salesforce Industries by just doing declarative development, quickly prototyping, a customer journey. And then I have 2 to 5 years of experience in SFI implementations. Is this the right time to learn? I think there is no better time to specialize, and if you do that, you are opening up avenues for yourself, not just projects, but you can also support and initiatives in practice development, in doing productization. As I told you, right, this product and this platform is perfect for building prototypes, for building products. So you can perfectly kind of merge your career into SFI and start picking up small projects or small initiatives that lead you there. Is working on Salesforce Industries Cloud projects mandatory to learn SFI? And answer to this is again yes and no. If you don't learn on projects, it's not going to hold you from learning, right? But project knowledge is definitely more complex, and a lot of factors kind of weigh in when you're doing a project. But at the same time, it's not imperative that you have to do a project in order to learn. SFI learning on the partner learning camp is built in a way where you have to do an exercise each time you do something or you learn something, right? And it practically ingrains a lot of skill in terms of development on SFI cloud, and gives you that knowledge even before you land into a project. That's about it from my end, and at this point I'll hand it over to Vola and open it up for questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Taranvir. It's been very, very interesting, and I think that all our listeners learned something today. And yeah, let's start with our questions. To all the audience, I remind you that do not hesitate, leave all your questions in the chat. For now, we have three questions. So let's start with the first one. Hi everyone, I'm curious particularly in how to choose an industry, and are there more difficult, less difficult ones?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. And as I said, industry clouds are not linear. They did not really come up in one go. Some of them are older than the others, and that's where you will see more functionality and more maturity in the processes. But that does not come to say that you cannot learn the old ones or the older ones are difficult. I would say that any industry cloud you pick up would have their own set of functionalities and features that are being offered. So your alignment would basically depend on your interest, on your background, and what you're really envisioning your future in. As I told you, some of these industry clouds have a very high adoption. When you look at communication cloud, it's become one of the, I would say, a dominating solution in the whole market, where telecom or CSPs, telecoms are and CSPs are really finding communication cloud as their go-to solution. So it kind of depends, what you really want to do, but uh, there is a lot of functionality and features that have been built in the three clouds that I talked to you about, which have industry CPQ. But it is completely your choice which one you want to pick.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Another question is I'm a junior admin. Is it useful for me to start focusing on industries cloud? And which one do you recommend? I think you already kind of answered it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think that's also something that I answered in the presentation. But for anybody, I mean, the opportunity to learn industries is open to everybody, and I don't think there's anything that should stop you from jumping into a specialization. If you want to really pick up as a junior admin, I think the best course for you would be to start with Omni Studio, and kind of get complete hands-on knowledge on that platform layer. Once you do have that, you can decide which industry cloud you want to pick, and then finalizing or picking up an industry cloud is again your choice and based on your experience. Some of them have higher adoption versus the others, but that should not stop you from learning. And that does not mean that you become a specialist just for one industry cloud. You can all There is always chances and opportunities for mobility. So it should not bound you to just be a master of one industry cloud. I'm somebody who started with the communication cloud, then learned media cloud, then did energy utilities cloud, insurance. So I've been doing a lot of these combinations, and I would recommend the same to everybody.
thank you. And I guess certifications are the buzz and fuzz everyone is interested. And we have one more question about with what certification should one start?
Yeah, I think I did answer that one also, but just again, I would like to reiterate that for anybody who wants to start learning industry clouds, it's important that you do Omni Studio. It will serve as a base layer and will give you flexibility to move into any industry of your choice. So I would strongly recommend that you do Omni Studio developer certification if you're just starting off as a technical person, and then pick up your industry of choice and start doing relevant certifications or accredited credentials.
Thank you. So, everyone, I can remind once again that this session will be recorded. You can find it on YouTube. Um, Please feel free to ask any questions even after the session is over. We will do our best to answer them. Yeah, I think if we do not have any more questions, then I would like to thank you, Taranvir, for this amazing, insightful session. And this is a very a rare topic, I would say, but many people right now focusing on different niche clouds. So we are really, really appreciate your input. Thank you so much. And dear listeners, do not forget to join all our channels. We also have Salesforce United podcasts. Subscribe to any community channel, and if you want to become a speaker, let us know. Now, we will be glad to conduct more tech talks. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.